Get ready to dream. Close your eyes, the story is about to begin. Emily walked cautiously through the dark cave, the damp walls reflecting the light of her lantern. The air was thick and heavy with an earthy smell, and the echo of each step seemed to amplify her solitude. Since she started her archaeological expedition, she had been drawn to this place, an ancient legend that spoke of a powerful artifact hidden in the mountains. As she ventured deeper, a strange sensation enveloped her, as if an invisible force was guiding her. Finally, in a small alcove illuminated by a soft, pulsing light, she spotted an object. It was an ancient artifact, covered in runes that danced with a blue glow. Emily approached, fascinated, and reached out her hand. As her fingers touched the cold surface of the object, a wave of energy coursed through her body. The artifact began to vibrate intensely, and before she could comprehend what was happening, a portal opened before her, a whirlwind of colors and lights. With an involuntary scream, Emily was sucked inside. When she finally landed abruptly on a battlefield, the scene was surreal. Warriors in gleaming armor fought alongside mythical figures, while the sound of clashing swords and shouts of bravery echoed around her. Emily was dazed, trying to understand the reality that surrounded her. What happened, she thought, her heart racing. A man with dark hair and a firm gaze, dressed in adorned armor, ran toward her. He pulled her aside, dodging an attack that nearly hit her. "You're safe now," he shouted, leading her behind a rock that offered protection. "My name is Jake. What are you doing here?" I don't know. I found an artifact and then I was sucked here," Emily replied, still trying to process her new reality. Jake looked at her with a worried expression. "Valoria is no place for the inexperienced. You need to stay close to me," he said, his voice carrying a tone of urgency. "We need to get out of here before Malakar's soldiers find us." A chill ran down Emily's spine at the mention of the tyrant's name. Malakar? Who is he? "One of the most powerful and cruel beings that ever existed," Jake explained, looking out at the battlefield. "He seeks to dominate all realms and is after a power called the Heart of the Storm. If he succeeds, Eldoria will be doomed." Jake pulled Emily by the arm and led her to a safer camp, where the flames of the campfires danced on the faces of warriors preparing for battle. "Queen Lila must know about you. She may have answers." In the camp, the atmosphere was tense. Warriors discussed strategies while others prepared for battle. Jake stopped in front of an imposing figure, a woman with long silver hair, who stood out among the rest. "Queen Lila, this is Emily." She appeared suddenly on the battlefield. The queen looked at Emily with curiosity. "A traveler from another world? That is rare. It's good that you are safe, but what do you know about Malakar?" "Nothing. I just arrived here." "I don't know anything about this," Emily replied, feeling increasingly out of place. Lila nodded, understanding the young woman's confusion. "You are not alone. Malakar is a threat to us all. We need all the power we can find to face him. And perhaps you have an important role to play in this battle." Emily felt a chill in her stomach. "But I'm just an archaeologist. What can I do against a tyrant?" "Sometimes, power comes from unexpected places," the queen asserted, with a determined look. "Eldoria is in danger, and courage can arise from anyone. You need to prepare, as the fight is just beginning." As Lila's words reverberated in her mind, Emily looked at Jake, who gave her an encouraging smile. The uncertainty still surrounded her, but a small spark of determination began to grow within her. She didn't know how, but she felt that her destiny in Eldoria was just beginning. Emily attentively observed the chaotic scene around her. The battlefield, filled with warriors from different eras, felt like a vivid dream, but the pulsing adrenaline in her veins reminded her that everything was real. After her introduction to Queen Lila, the young woman felt the weight of a destiny she hadn't even known existed. And it was in that moment of uncertainty that a cry pierced the air, calling her attention. "Help! Someone, please!" The desperate voice of a villager echoed, and Emily instinctively ran toward the sound. The scene she found was terrifying. A group of dark soldiers, clad in black armor with covered faces, surrounded an elderly man who was pleading for mercy. Emily's heart raced. Without thinking twice, she launched herself toward the villager. "Let him go!" "He did nothing wrong," she shouted, her voice firm despite the fear consuming her. The soldiers turned to her, surprised by the audacity of a young woman who seemed like just a mere civilian. One of the warriors, a giant in armor, laughed derisively. "And who are you to give us orders, girl?" Emily felt a wave of courage flood her being. In that instant, something inside her began to shine, an energy she had never known she possessed. With a movement of her hands, a shimmering light emerged, illuminating the darkness around her. "I won't let you hurt anyone." The words came from her mouth with a confidence that surprised her. One of the soldiers hesitated, but the giant advanced. "You will regret this." He swung his sword, but before he could attack, a wave of magical energy emanated from Emily, knocking him back, stunned. The villager, now free, quickly moved away, looking at her with gratitude in his eyes. You really have powers," he exclaimed, while the other soldiers, now in panic, began to retreat and flee. Emily, still dazed, looked at her hands. What had just happened? Had she done that? Jake appeared at her side, a smile of admiration on his face. "You were amazing, Emily. I didn't know you had such magical potential. We need to use this to our advantage." "But I don't know how to control it," she said, her voice heavy with insecurity. "What if I can't? What if I end up doing more harm than good?" "We all have fears," Jake replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "What matters is that you are willing to fight. And with Queen Lila by our side, we can learn to control these skills. You are not alone." Meanwhile, in the camp's tent, Queen Lila watched the scene from afar, a mix of concern and hope in her gaze. When Emily and Jake joined her, Lila wasted no time in sharing a vision that haunted her. "Emily, I had a premonition. I saw a dark future where Malachar controls the heart of the storm. He not only desires power, he wants the destruction of Eldoria. So, what can we do?" Emily asked, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She felt that she was now part of something much bigger than herself. "We need to find the heart before he does," Lila said, the determination in her voice clear as crystal. "And you, Emily, may be the key to that. Your magical abilities can guide us." Jake, who had been silent, finally spoke, his voice hesitant. I'm not as strong as you guys. I lost a friend in battle, and since then, I don't know if I'm a true warrior." "Jake, you are a true warrior," Emily encouraged him, feeling the need to support him. "Don't underestimate yourself. We all have our internal struggles. What matters is that we are in this together." Queen Lila, listening to the conversation, smiled at them. "That's what makes a true group. The mutual trust and strength we find in each other. Let's prepare, for we have a long journey ahead. And together, we will find the heart of the storm." Emily felt a wave of hope looking at Jake and Lila. Together, they were stronger. She was ready to discover not only her abilities but also her role in Eldoria. Destiny awaited them. The sun rose on the horizon, casting golden rays over the battlefield where Emily, Jake, and Queen Lila prepared for the journey that would change their destinies. They had heard rumors about the Heart of the Storm, an artifact of unimaginable power, and they knew that Malachar was seeking it. With determination, the trio set off towards the enchanted forest, a sacred place filled with mysteries and dangers. As they walked, the vegetation around them became increasingly dense, and the sounds of nature mingled with the travelers' conversations. Emily, still adapting to the new world and her newly discovered magical abilities, looked at Jake, who marched alongside her. He had a concentrated expression, but a shadow of doubt still hung over him. "Jake, are you okay?" Emily asked, concerned. "You seem distant." He hesitated, stopping for a moment to look at an ancient tree, its roots seeming to tell stories of generations past. "It's just, I wonder if I'm really capable of making a difference. All these warriors, they are so grand. And I?" He gave a faint smile, but it was a sad smile. "I'm just an ordinary man." "You are not just an ordinary man," Emily said, determined. You are a warrior. You saved my life and many others. We have a goal, and we need you." Her gaze was firm, conveying the certainty she felt. Jake looked at her, and something in his gaze began to change. "Thank you, Emily. Your words mean a lot to me." He took a deep breath, as if preparing to face not only the journey but also his own demons. Queen Lila, who was walking a few steps ahead, heard the conversation and turned to them. "Trust is essential, Jake. In times of crisis, it's courage that makes us true leaders. Don't underestimate the impact you can have." As they advanced, the forest became more magical and vibrant. Flowers of impossible colors bloomed around them, and small magical creatures peeked at the travelers from among the leaves. Finally, they reached a clearing where a golden phoenix perched on a low branch, its eyes shining with wisdom and power. "Welcome, travelers," the phoenix said, its voice melodious like a bird's song. "I am Seraphina, guardian of the heart of the storm. I see that you seek this artifact. But before anything, it is necessary that you understand its true essence." Jake and Emily exchanged glances, apprehensive. Lila, however, stepped forward. "We are ready to learn. The harmony of Eldoria depends on this." Seraphina flapped her wings, and a warm breeze enveloped the group. The heart of the storm is not just a source of power. It is a symbol of balance. Those who seek it must be prepared to accept not only strength, but also the responsibility that comes with it. "How can we do that?" Emily asked, curiosity shining in her eyes. "You must connect with the souls of the ancestral warriors who also fought for the good of Eldoria," Seraphina explained. "Only then will you understand the importance of sacrifice and leadership." As she spoke, the phoenix began to dance in the air, and a golden light emanated from her, enveloping Emily. She felt a wave of energy course through her, as if thousands of voices whispered in her mind. Images of ancient battles and courageous heroes flashed before her eyes, and she realized that each of them had faced similar challenges. "Can you feel this?" Jake asked, observing the transformation in Emily's expression. "It's like their stories are intertwining with ours." "Yes," Emily replied, her voice soft and filled with emotion. "I feel their pain, their struggle, and their courage. This is incredible." As the connection was established, Jake also began to feel stronger, as if the voices of the ancestral warriors were encouraging him. "We are in this together," he declared, confidence shining in his eyes. "Let's find the heart of the storm and protect Eldoria." Lila, touched by the transformation of her companions, smiled. "Then let's move forward. The path ahead may be dangerous, but together we are stronger." With a new sense of purpose, the group left the clearing, ready to face the challenges to come. Emily felt that the journey was just beginning, and that the connection with the warriors of the past would guide them towards truth and victory. The group of Emily, Jake, and Queen Lila cautiously advanced along the road towards the besieged city. The sun hid behind dark clouds, and the air was thick with palpable tension. As they approached the city walls, the distant sounds of screams and clanging metal echoed, revealing the despair of the inhabitants. The city's banners, once vibrant, were now torn and dirty, signaling a battle that had been going on for days. "We need to do something," Lila said, her voice firm but with a slight tremor of concern. "The citizens can't go on like this." Jake, with a hardened expression of determination, nodded. "But if we enter, we risk being captured. Malachar won't let us pass easily." Emily looked at the stone walls, her heart aching for the suffering she knew was happening on the other side. "What if we tried to distract the troops? We could create a breach for the civilians to escape." Lila pondered the idea, her eyes shining with the hope Emily brought. "It's risky, but it might be our only chance to help these people." After a brief planning session, the group positioned themselves in the shadows of a leafy tree, watching the Malachar guards patrol the entrance to the city. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the magical energy inside her pulsate like a living heart. "I'm ready," she murmured, feeling confidence grow within her. "Be careful," Jake warned, holding her arm. "Remember what we learned. Magic must be used wisely." "I know. I'll just draw their attention away," Emily replied, determined. She closed her eyes and concentrated. With a delicate gesture, she evoked an illusion that manifested as a wave of bright light appearing in the opposite direction of the guards. The light danced like shooting stars, drawing the soldiers' attention. "Now!" she shouted, and they rushed toward the city. The guards, distracted by the light, abandoned their posts, running toward the diversion. Emily and the group seized the opportunity and advanced. "Quick! Let's go!" Jake whispered as they moved stealthily. As they entered the city, the scene was desolate. The streets were filled with people huddled together, some in chains, others hiding in dark alleys. Emily felt a wave of compassion for them. "We need to free them," she said, her voice firm. Lila hesitated, analyzing the situation. "If we try to rescue everyone, we might be discovered. We need to be strategic. But they're in danger. We can't leave anyone behind," Emily exclaimed, her voice full of emotion. "She's right," Jake added, his gaze determined. "The only way to help is to act quickly. We have to do this for them." Queen Lila took a deep breath, her internal struggle clear. "Then let's free as many as we can. Emily, you handle the guards, and Jake and I will try to break the chains of the prisoners." Emily nodded, and as they moved, she prepared to use her magic again. With a wave of her hands, she created a series of small explosions of light that illuminated the sky, further distracting the guards. "Now!" Jake shouted as Lila approached the prisoners, signaling for them to remain calm. The chains broke with a touch from the queen, and the prisoners began to disperse. Chaos erupted in the city, and the confused and disoriented guards tried to regain control of the situation. But amidst the commotion, a piercing scream echoed. "Watch out!" A shadow lunged at them, and one of the Malachar soldiers, armed and fierce, charged toward the group. "No!" Emily shouted, trying to use her magic, but the energy was fading. Jake, sensing the threat, lunged forward, moving with the skill of a true warrior. He blocked the attack with his sword, and the sound of metal clashing echoed like thunder. "What are we going to do?" Lila asked, worried. "We need to get out of here now," Jake replied, breathless. "Let's go. This isn't the end. We have to keep going." With one last glance at the civilians, Emily felt the pain of loss as she realized that an important ally had been captured during the chaos. Sadness and frustration flooded her heart, but she knew they could not give up. The fight for Eldoria's freedom was just beginning. After the intense battle and the loss of an ally, Emily sat beside a crackling campfire, the flames illuminating her tired face. The night sky in Eldoria was filled with stars, but none of it warmed her heart. The pain of loss was still palpable, like a fresh wound that wouldn't heal. She looked at the flames, searching for answers in their dance of light, while the sounds of nature around her seemed to echo her lament. Why did this happen, she thought, her mind racing with memories of the friend they had lost. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that somehow her inexperience had contributed to the tragedy. The responsibility weighed heavily on her shoulders, and the thought of failing again made her hesitate. Jake, who had stepped away a bit to give her space to grieve, approached. He had a look of concern. "Emily, are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft, almost a whisper. She forced a smile, but her eyes betrayed the truth. "I'm trying to be okay. But it's hard, Jake. We lost someone important. And I don't know if I'm the hero everyone expects me to be." Jake sat down beside her, the cold sand of the beach mixing with the gravity of the moment. "You don't have to be a perfect hero. You're a warrior, and even the best face losses. What matters is what we do from here." He looked at the campfire, the flames reflecting the determination in his gaze. "We need to keep going. Eldoria needs us." Emily took a deep breath, absorbing his words. She knew Jake was right, but the idea of moving forward felt almost like a betrayal to her friend's memory. "I just feel like I'm not ready for this. The magic, the responsibility, it's all new to me. And I've lost a friend in battle, remember that. I also didn't know if I could go on. But we have to support each other, that's what makes us a team," Jake said, his voice firm. "And you have incredible power. You saved those villagers. It's time for you to trust yourself. Jake's words resonated within Emily. She remembered the moment her magic awakened for the first time when she had saved the villager in danger. The feeling of power, of control, still echoed in her mind. But what if I use the power wrong? What if I end up hurting more people? If you act with heart and wisdom, there's nothing to fear. True strength comes from knowing when to fight and when to withdraw, Jake replied, with a look of understanding. At that moment, Queen Lila approached, bringing with her an aura of authority and serenity. Emily, don't underestimate what you're capable of. The heart of the storm is not just a source of power, it's an opportunity to bring balance. You have the chance to shape the future of Eldoria. But what if I fail? Emily questioned, the insecurity still present in her voice. Lila smiled, a smile that reflected both hope and understanding. Failure is part of learning. Great leaders also face doubts. You have a connection with the ancestral warriors. Let them guide you. Emily looked at the flames again, contemplating what Lila had just said. Maybe you're right, she admitted, her voice stronger. I need to understand what it means to have this power. I can't let fear paralyze me. Jake nodded, a smile of encouragement on his face. That's right, Emily. We'll do this together. If you need me, I'll be by your side. Always. Emily's heart began to warm with the idea that she was not alone. Thank you, Jake. I truly appreciate your support. With a new purpose beginning to form within her, Emily stood up, looking at her friends. Determination began to replace doubt. Let's move forward then. We have a kingdom to protect, and I will figure out how to use my power the right way. Queen Lila and Jake exchanged a glance, and together they formed a united trio, ready to face the challenges still ahead. Emily's determination grew, and with it, the promise that she would not let the pain of loss define her, but rather use it as fuel to fight for what was right. Emily, Jake, and Queen Lila advanced through the dense enchanted forest, where light filtered through the treetops, creating a play of shadows and lights that danced around them. The air was infused with a sweet, earthy fragrance, and the bird's song was a symphony that contrasted with the gravity of the mission that brought them there. The group was tense, each absorbing the pain of recent loss and the challenges they would still face. I feel we're close, Lila said, looking at the ancient map she held in her hands. The location of the heart of the storm must be around here, but we need to be careful. This place is full of traps. Jake, beside her, nodded, his hand steady on his sword. We can't allow ourselves to fail again. Every step we take is a chance for Malachar to catch up with us. We need to be quick and silent. Emily, who walked a little behind, felt her heart race. The memory of the last attack still haunted her, but now she had a new power pulsing within her, something she discovered when she saved that villager. We're in this together, she said, trying to convey confidence. We will find the heart and stop Malachar from using it. As they crossed a clearing covered in vibrant flowers, a strong breeze began to blow. The flowers danced, and suddenly a blinding glow appeared ahead. Emily stopped, feeling a wave of energy coursing through her body. What is this? She asked, looking at the glow. Be careful, Jake shouted, running towards her. But before he could reach her, a trap activated beneath their feet, and a magical barrier separated them. Emily and Jake found themselves in a space illuminated by a golden light, while Lila remained outside, calling for them. Jake! Emily! Lila cried, banging on the invisible barrier that kept them apart. What happened? We're trapped, Jake replied, looking around, unsure of what to do. Emily, do you feel that? It's like something is testing our abilities. Emily nodded, concentrating. I think we need to show our strength together. If we can overcome this, maybe we can get out. The light began to intensify, and an imposing figure appeared before them. It was a guardian of the forest, a mythical creature with shining feathers and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. To pass, you must prove your worth, said the guardian, its deep voice echoing in the clearing. Friendship and courage will be tested. We're ready, Jake exclaimed, raising his sword. What do we need to do? You must face the challenges your souls fear the most, replied the guardian. Only then can you prove you are ready for the heart of the storm. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. I'm afraid of failing. What if we can't save Eldoria? Don't worry, Emily. We've always been together, and that makes us stronger, Jake said, placing a hand on her shoulder. Let's face this together. The guardian raised one of its wings, and the clearing transformed into a combat arena. Dark creatures began to rise from the ground, challenging them to fight. Show me your strength. Without hesitation, Jake charged at the creatures, his sword slicing through the air with precision. Emily, for her part, felt the magical energy within her intensify. She raised her hands and, with a gesture, released a wave of light that dispelled some of the approaching shadows. That's it. Keep it up, Jake shouted as he fought alongside her. With each movement, Emily realized that her connection with Jake was growing stronger. They moved in perfect sync, as if they were dancing. The light emanating from her illuminated the battlefield, and Jake's courage inspired her to stand firm. Finally, after an intense battle, the creatures were defeated. The guardian watched them with an approving gaze. You have proven your courage and friendship. Now, the barrier will be broken. With a movement of its wing, light enveloped Jake and Emily, and the barrier dissolved. Breathing deeply, Jake looked at Emily and smiled. We did it. Together. Yes, together, she replied, feeling a new determination grow within her. The struggles they faced had only strengthened the bonds between them, and now they were more ready than ever to continue their journey in search of the heart of the storm. As they reunited after the separation, the tension in the air was palpable. Queen Lila was sitting on a large stone, gazing at the horizon, while Emily and Jake approached her. They had gone through profound and painful experiences, but the uncertainty about Eldoria's future kept them on edge. We need to talk about what we did, Jake said, his voice low but firm. You can't just use the heart of the storm to control Malachar, Lila. That's dangerous. The queen slowly turned, her gaze intense. I know the risk, Jake. But it's the only way to ensure he never threatens Eldoria again. The power of the heart could be the key to defeating him once and for all. Emily crossed her arms, feeling indignation rise within her. And you think becoming like him is the solution? Using power to control a tyrant will only perpetuate the cycle of pain and oppression. We need to find a way to restore balance, not to dominate it. Lila took a deep breath, her expression softening for a moment. I understand your concerns, but you haven't experienced the terror that Malachar brought. He doesn't care about anything but power. If we don't do something drastic, he will destroy everything we love. And what do you consider drastic, Lila? Jake pressed, his gaze steady. Do you think becoming a potential tyrant will save the innocent? That's not leadership, it's a betrayal of the values we stand for. The queen stood up, frustration evident on her face. You don't understand. The heart of the storm is an immense force, and before it falls into the wrong hands, we must use it. I am the queen, and I have a duty to protect my people at any cost. Emily looked at Jake, and a silent understanding passed between them. What Lila was proposing was not only risky, it was morally questionable. Lila, what you are suggesting is not protection. It is an act of desperation. And this will only distance us from who we truly are. Silence took over the group for a moment, each person lost in their thoughts. Lila, noticing that the conversation was straying from what really mattered, decided to change tactics. So tell me, what do you suggest? How can we stop Malachar if we don't have the necessary power? Jake hesitated. We need to find a way to disarm him, to take the heart from his hands. If we can do that, we can restore harmony without resorting to tyrannical methods. The queen shook her head, looking frustrated. And what if we don't have time? What happens if he reaches us first? What would you do then? Lila, courage is not doing what is easy, but doing what is right, Emily replied, her voice soft yet firm. We must act wisely. The heart is not a weapon, but a tool. We need a plan that doesn't compromise our values. The queen closed her eyes, absorbing Emily's words. You're right, but I'm scared. Scared of losing everything. Scared of failing. We all are, Jake said, softening his posture. But true strength comes from unity and mutual respect. We need to trust each other, Lila. It was then that Emily, in a burst of impulse, decided she couldn't let the situation deteriorate any further. I will go in search of the heart of the storm. Alone, if necessary. But we cannot let ourselves be divided. We need to act together, even if our opinions differ. You can't do that, Emily. Lila exclaimed, alarmed. If you go alone, you could put yourself in danger. I'm not alone, Lila, Emily replied, looking into Jake's eyes. I will always be with you, no matter what happens. But we need to find the truth about this power before it consumes us. Jake nodded, and the determination in his gaze reflected the same courage Emily felt. I'll go with you. I can't let you face this alone. Lila's eyes widened, a mix of concern and admiration forming in her gaze. Then, if you are both determined to follow this path, so be it. But please, be careful. With that, the trio prepared to depart, though uncertainty loomed over them. The journey ahead would not be easy, and the challenges to come would require not only strength but also deep reflection on what it meant to be a true hero in times of darkness. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as she marched back to the camp, her heart heavy with the revelations she had obtained from the warrior spirit. The trees of the forest seemed to whisper, as if sharing their fears and hopes. As she approached, she saw Jake and Lila talking in hushed tones, their expressions tense, but when they spotted her, a mix of relief and concern washed over their faces. Emily! Jake exclaimed, running toward her. Are you okay? What happened? She hesitated for a moment, recalling the spirit's warning. I found a warrior spirit who warned me about the power of the heart of the storm. He said we must use this power wisely. We cannot allow the desire for control to consume us. Lila furrowed her brow. But we need the heart to stop Malachar. He is closing in quickly, and if we don't move fast, he will seize it first. And what do you intend to do, Lila? Emily questioned, the tension growing between them. Use the power of the heart to dominate Malachar? Won't that make us just like him? Sometimes, sacrifices must be made, Emily, Lila replied, her voice firm. If I can control the heart, I can force Malachar to surrender. It's the only way to ensure peace in the long run. And if the power consumes you? Jake interjected, his voice laden with concern. We need to be sure of what we're doing. We can't act on impulse. Emily felt the weight of the situation. We need to unite and act together. We cannot let distrust divide us at this crucial moment. I'll try to speak with the people in the city, Jake suggested, changing the subject. We need all the allies we can find. They should know that Malachar is approaching. Lila nodded, but her gaze was distant. The worries about what could happen with the power of the heart consumed her. In the meantime, I'll prepare. We need a plan. As the sun began to set, the group gathered to discuss what to do next. The atmosphere was heavy, but a sense of urgency united them. Emily looked at Jake, realizing the determination in his gaze. They had to act quickly before Malachar reached them. We need to find the heart before Malachar does, Emily said, her voice resolute. If we can get there first, we'll have a chance to figure out how to use it without succumbing to its power. And what if he's already there? Jake asked, concern evident on his face. What will we do if we encounter Malachar before we get the heart? We need to be fast and discreet, Lila replied, her mind already working on strategies. We should split our group to confuse Malachar's spies. That will give us an advantage. I'll go with you, Lila, Emily said, determined. We need to approach the heart in a way that Malachar won't expect. Jake looked at them, his determination blending with a hint of apprehension. Be careful, both of you. If anything happens, shout. I'll always be nearby. As they prepared to leave, anxiety hung in the air. The battle ahead would not just be against a physical tyrant, but against the temptations and dangers that power could bring. As they moved through the forest, Emily felt that each step brought her closer not only to the heart but also to her own inner truth. She knew that the fight was far from over, but she was determined to face whatever came, with the hope that together they could find a path that not only saved Eldoria but also preserved the essence of who they were. The trees swayed gently in the wind, as if encouraging the journey ahead. The fate of Eldoria was in their hands, and with each step, the burden of responsibility became clearer. They were about to enter a confrontation that would test not only their skills but also their convictions. The battlefield was shrouded in a thick, dark mist, the atmosphere charged with tension and despair. Emily, her heart racing, looked at Jake, who stood beside her, his armor shining in the twilight. The confrontation with Malachar was about to happen, and the sense of urgency pulsed through their veins. "Emily, you need to stay focused," Jake said, his voice firm but laced with concern. "The power of the heart of the storm is in your hands. Don't use it recklessly." She nodded, determination reflecting in her eyes. "I know, Jake. I promise I'll use the power for good. To restore Eldoria, not to dominate it." The two joined Queen Lila, who was now at the front of the assembled army, her imposing presence bringing a sense of hope. "Today, we fight not just for our lives, but for the future of Eldoria." She raised her sword, and the sound of cheers echoed around them, energizing the warriors preparing for battle. Malachar's figure emerged, shrouded in a dark aura, his eyes burning like flames from a distant hell. He laughed, a sound that chilled the blood. "You think you can stop me? The heart of the storm will be mine, and with it, I will dominate all realms." The confrontation began. Emily felt the energy of the heart pulsing within her, but a tension enveloped her. She wanted to wield that power, but the memory of Jake, who had always encouraged her to be a hero, echoed in her mind. "Remember the balance, Emily," she murmured to herself as the battle raged around her. Jake, sensing Emily's internal struggle, turned to her. "Don't let anger consume you. Use the strength you have, but remember who you are. You are a warrior, not a destroyer." She looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I can't do this without you, Jake. You've shown me the value of courage and sacrifice." And in that moment, everything changed. Malachar, seeing Emily's hesitation, attacked with a wave of dark energy. Jake, perceiving the imminent danger, threw himself in front of Emily, absorbing the impact of the blow. His scream cut through the air, and her heart stopped for an instant. "Jake!" Emily screamed, running to him as he fell to the ground, his armor marked by the malignant energy. "No! What have you done?" He smiled faintly, even in his pain. "You need to use the heart. For Eldoria, not for revenge." Tears streamed down Emily's face as she held Jake's hand, feeling his life fading. "No, no, no! I can't lose you. Jake, please." He took a deep breath, his voice barely a whisper. "You are stronger than you know. Use the power to restore, not to destroy." With renewed determination, Emily closed her eyes and focused. The heart of the storm pulsed within her, a force that cried out for freedom, for balance. "I promise, Jake. I will do this." She raised her hands, invoking the energy of the heart, her words echoing in the air. "Heart of the storm, hear my call. Let your light purify this place and bring harmony to Eldoria." A wave of light erupted from her being, enveloping her in a radiant glow. The energy of the heart of the storm expanded, lighting up the battlefield and striking against Malachar. The darkness that surrounded the tyrant began to dissipate, and a piercing scream echoed as Emily's power clashed with him. "No! This cannot be!" Malachar shouted as the light enveloped him, shattering his defenses. "It cannot end like this. It's over, Malachar," Emily declared, her voice firm and unwavering. "Eldoria will no longer be ruled by fear." The wave of light grew in intensity, surrounding Malachar in a storm of energy. He writhed as his form disintegrated into particles of darkness, an echo of his malice dissipating into the air. The light then spread across the field, healing the wounds of the warriors, restoring life and hope. Emily fell to her knees, exhausted, but the smile on her face reflected victory. The power of the heart of the storm was not only destructive, it brought life and balance, and she had finally understood its true nature. The pain of losing Jake still pulsed in her heart, but now there was also a new hope. The future of Eldoria was in her hands, and she was ready to honor her friend's sacrifice, guiding the kingdom into a new era of peace. With the victory over Malachar, Eldoria began to slowly recover from the deep wounds that the war had left. The sky, once stained by the tyrant's darkness, now illuminated with a soft and radiant glow. Emily, still reeling from the recent loss of Jake, walked through a field of wildflowers that rose in tribute to those who fought bravely. The sweet, fresh aroma enveloped her, but her heart still weighed heavy with sorrow. Suddenly, an intense light began to emanate from the ground, and Emily stopped, feeling the energy pulsing around her. From the flowers, ethereal forms began to rise, revealing the souls of ancestral warriors. They were there, proud and grateful, each radiating an aura of strength and wisdom. "Emily, daughter of Earth and Destiny," one of the warriors said, with a deep, resonant voice that echoed like soft thunder. "You have freed us, and for that, we come to thank you." "But I didn't do it alone," Emily replied, her voice choked with emotion. "Jake, he sacrificed himself. He is the true hero." "You must not underestimate your role, young warrior," responded a woman in shining armor who seemed to radiate light. "Jake's courage was immense, but it was your determination and compassion that brought harmony back to Eldoria. You are the true heroine." Emily felt a growing warmth in her chest. "I just wanted to save all of you. I never wished to be a heroine," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "Being a heroine is not a choice, but a destiny," said an elder with a long white beard. "And you fulfilled that destiny with bravery. The heart of the storm recognized your worth, and now the land recognizes it too." As the souls slowly dispersed, Lila approached Emily, her expression determined. "I have much to learn from you, Emily. The absolute power I sought in moments of weakness is not what Eldoria needs. I need to govern with unity and wisdom. You've already taken the first step by acknowledging your mistakes, Lila," Emily said, wiping her tears. "True leadership comes from the heart, not from power. The kingdom needs someone who listens to its people and fights for them." Lila nodded, her expression softening. "I promise I will do this. And in honor of Jake, I will dedicate myself to building a future where everyone can live in peace." The scene transformed into a new dawn, where the sunlight began to illuminate the hills of Eldoria. Emily looked toward the horizon, feeling the strength and energy of the earth pulsing beneath her feet. She realized that although she had lost Jake, his essence would continue to live in every action she took. His love and bravery would be a part of her forever. "I can't go back home," Emily said, more to herself than to Lila. "This place is where I belong now. Here, I can fight for those who have no voice." "Then, you will stay?" Lila asked, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Yes. I want to help rebuild Eldoria. I want to become stronger and protect this kingdom," Emily replied firmly. At that moment, a new challenge loomed on the horizon, but Emily felt ready to face it. With the queen by her side, she knew she was not alone. Eldoria would always have its battles, but now, with the strength of the ancient warriors and the determination of its inhabitants, hope was reborn. "Let's go together, then," Lila said, extending her hand. "Together, we can create a new future." Emily took the queen's hand, and together, they walked toward the dawn, where a new chapter awaited, filled with possibilities and challenges. Adventures never end, but now, with courage and unity, Eldoria could thrive. Good night and enchanted dreams.